Hey guys, welcome to my Ghost of Tsushima review for the PS4. I'm going to apologize now for this late review. I've been pretty busy with some personal issues and stuff in my life. However, I'm going to try and pump out more reviews. I've got a Paper Mario one in the works as well. But anyway, this isn't about Paper Mario, this is about Ghosts. So anyway, I'm sure you've all heard by now, but Ghost of Tsushima is great. It is beautiful. It's not like a certain game I reviewed before. Let's just say, let's hope that is the last of it. But anyway, Ghost of Tsushima is one of, if not one of the best games on PS4 and PlayStation in general. Like, this was an amazing experience. I don't think, I'm kind of sad that I don't think we'll have another game like this, maybe until Cyberpunk. But Ghost, it was beautiful. Wonderful, hands down, just the best. So I want to jump into this review right now. Firstly, let's start with the graphics and audio like I tend to do here. And I'm going to say this right now, I am like so surprised at how this game looks on PlayStation 4, because it is, in my opinion, the best looking game on PlayStation 4 and even better than some PC games. I don't know how they did it. I really do not. The graphics, the environments are amazing. The lighting in this game, which usually sucks on PlayStation, is beautiful. Especially the particle effects in this game, such as leaves blowing in the distance or snow falling, bugs and stuff, animals in the distance. I don't know how they did it. I really do not. Like, it is breathtaking that you could have this kind of game running on a PlayStation. It's Also, the animations, I will say, that you see in battle, or like, you know, Jin getting on a horse or something, anything like that, they're also really done to professional standards here, and it's a wonderful time to look at. And not only that, the sounds in this game are great as well. The sound of like Jin riding a horse across grass compared to riding across dirt or rocks, the subtle differences there are amazing, and you can notice them all throughout the game. The voice acting in this game as well is great. You have the choice between Japanese or English if you want, whatever floats your boat. You can choose between the two. And to top it all off, I wasn't a fan of it. I'd never really been a fan of these kinds of features. However, there is a camera mode in this game if that interests you. If you want to take pictures of Jin in, you know, let's say weird positions or whatever floats your boat, you can do that in this game. Anyway, moving on to the gameplay, because that's where I think Ghost of Tsushima also really shines. Now, have you ever wondered what it'd be like to have, let's say, a combination of Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and Dark Souls? Because if you have, Ghost of Tsushima is that. You have outposts and towns full of Mongols across the map, sort of like in any Far Cry game, which once cleared, it'll bring back residents and people to these places, which will then allow you to, let's say, craft better weapon upgrades, better armor upgrades in these towns you have freed. It'll also increase your renown, giving you ability points to spend if you clear these objectives. You can also get these renown points by completing main and side missions, helping people you come across, like in Red Dead 2. You know, like when you're riding along the road randomly, or like the dirt paths in Red Dead, and you just see some people doing some stuff in the distance. That is in this game, and it's been implemented really well. Also, like I said before, you also get these points from clearing camps, towns, just, you know, anything that just messes up the Mongols. Now, I want to say that this game also has two main paths for your playstyle. That's what I consider. Pretty much, you have the stealthy Ghost of Tsushima gameplay, or the full balls-to-the-walls samurai who runs around literally just fighting any and everyone honorably. I will say as well that some missions will force you to play one style or the other though, so you might have to just get used to that. But however, both paths are absolutely great, and you can invest points into whatever path you want, whatever floats your boats. And this gives players, I think, a lot of freedom and how they want to play. This is one of the games, I will say, that's done both stealth and just like combat really, really great. And I feel like series like Assassin's Creed, which in my opinion have been degrading over the years, should take notes from what Ghost of Tsushima has done here. However, mid to late game, stealth gameplay feels far more broken than the samurai path, as you can pretty much kill literally any and everyone in one shot, regardless of their rank or strength. So there is that. However, the game does have some really great dueling systems in play, so the samurai, if you go the samurai path, you will get to enjoy these more. as you know, you've put more points into going a samurai path, so you're going to have more strength, or you're going to have different abilities, or more abilities, I should say, than, let's say, someone who's invested entirely into stealth. Another point I will touch on as well while I'm talking about this is the dueling system in this game is done so beautifully. It's one of the best dueling systems I think I've ever played, to be honest. It's just amazing to see yourself standing in like this circle arena, wind blowing in the background, leaves flying around, and just having this one-on-one duel with another samurai in an honorable fashion. And that's all I have to say. It's just, the developers should be absolutely proud of what they've done here. And not only that, it's a real challenge on the hardest difficulties, because you will die a lot, like 1 or 2 hits. I've died more than enough times. I'm not proud to say that, however I have. And the AI is also competent enough and annoying enough that it will spam broken abilities to try and kill you, like abilities that are harder to counter or block or something along those lines. So it's a great game for anyone who wants a challenge. This is also where my first negative comes into it, mainly in these duels. Of course, it does happen in more open world combat when you're in groups fights. The camera in this game can get extremely janky at times, like during combat with multiple people or in one-on-one situations. For example, if you're dodging or rolling around in one-on-one combat or against multiple enemies, the camera tends to flick like really just in awkward situations, like, and you lose your orientation because of it, and you can die. I've died a lot of times to this, and it will piss you off. And it doesn't happen just once or twice. I found it a regular coincidence in this game. And there is an option to like lock onto the closest target to you, but I still found the camera was just weird at times, and frankly it was one of the downfalls of this game for me, was just the camera not working in certain situations. But anyway, that's pretty much... I have another point I will touch on later on. However, that's one of the first negatives I feel that Ghost of Tsushima has. Now, moving on to the actual story of this game. The basic story of Ghost of Tsushima is Mongols invade Tsushima, killing and occupying this island, and as one of the last remaining samurais, Jin, the guy you play as, you're pretty much left to yourself to try and repel pretty much all the Mongols, with the help of some side characters here and there. But you soon realize that the samurai way that Jin's pretty much lived his whole life is failing him to work against these Mongols, and it's becoming harder and harder to keep your honor as you're torn between fighting the Mongols honorably or using dishonorable tactics such as poisoning them or killing them in their sleep to repel them. And it doesn't help, of course, that your uncle is the Lord of Tsushima and is the embodiment of being honorable, and he would honestly rather die than ever sink low enough to poison a foe or stab him in the back. And this tears Jin apart as he descends more and more into the darkness, becoming the Ghost of Tsushima. And although I just gave a basic description of the story, overall it was one of the most amazing stories I've played in a while. Watching Jin become torn between the beliefs he's upholding all his life, that his uncle has taught him, versus what he actually has to do to save Tsushima, is done beautifully here. I just want to clarify though, it's not so much the overall story that's great, but how the actual story is told that makes this game amazing. Like, if you break it down, it's just a man repelling an invasion with some internal problems he's dealing with. You know, that sounds kind of basic, but when you actually go on the journey of how Jin repels the invasion, that's where this story absolutely shines. And it's one of the best stories / experiences I've had the joy of playing on PS4. And I think it's a beautiful end to the PS4 era before, PS4 5 comes out. PS5, sorry, not PS4. Now, I won't spoil much, however, there is a point I need to make because it is the second flaw I had with this game. So, if you want to skip to the end of this video, I won't blame you, but I will do like a slight spoiler warning here because I'm going to have to say a spoiler. So, just to clarify, anyone, you've been warned, spoilers from here, just spoilers, alright. Now, this is a more subjective view on my behalf, and it might not affect anyone else. However, I did have a bit of a problem with the ending of the second arc to the third arc, in between there. Basically, Jin, who throughout the whole game has had the utmost respect for his uncle, literally done everything to save this man from the Mongol clutches. And when his uncle wants to officially adopt Jin to become his son, because, he loves Jin so much, they show a touching moment between the two. You can tell these two really, really care for each other. Up until here, it's fine. However, after, just one mission ends, poorly, with his uncle, Jin just pretty much throws everything away, saying he no longer wants to become his uncle's son, and he pretty much just cuts ties with his uncle entirely, basically throwing everything he's ever built up with this man that he's respected for his whole life away. Now, I know this is a result of how the mission ends, and Jin tells his uncle that you can't fight the Mongols honorably, since the Mongols don't use honor at all, and they'll use shady tactics. But it still feels strange and a bit extreme to me that Jin would suddenly, all that's considered throughout this game, he would just literally throw everything away for the man he holds in such high esteem. I feel it would have been made a bit more sense if Jin, had acted like this a bit more throughout the story, if tensions were built up along it, they had more arguments, Jin was actually openly disagreeing with his uncle throughout the game more so, and then, after these disagreements keep building up, finally this mission is the tipping point, and how it ends, that's when Jin finally snaps and he just can't deal with it anymore. Because you should know that before this mission, I don't think Jin's ever disagreed with his uncle openly. And it was only like a few weeks before this that Jin, he was all down to be his uncle's son, like official son. Now, once again, it's probably just me who has a problem with this point. There's probably most people out there who didn't even think, or it doesn't bother them at all, which is fine. However, it just feels like Jin going from agreeing with everything his uncle does, holding this man in such high esteem, loving him unconditionally, never questioning him, wanting to be his son, to suddenly one mission ends poorly and Jin saying, no, I want nothing to do with you, we're done, I don't want to be your son, I don't want anything to do with you. It felt a little forced to me. I would have liked more build up to this point than what was shown in the game. But anyway, that's enough rambling on about that. I want to move on to the final score. So the final score for Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion, is a very high 9 out of 10. It's an absolutely great game and a masterpiece, if you will. Truly a game everyone should own. I honestly think that. Watching Jin's descent into darkness, the beautiful graphics, amazing audio, the gameplay of 3 different games combined into this one, all working very well, makes this a game I must own. I can't give it a 10 though, due to the camera pissing me off throughout the story more times than I can count. And that story point I mentioned before, which if you've skipped to this point and don't know the spoiler, that's okay, but I won't mention again. But yeah, just that story point as well is what caused me to just miss that 10. But I will say that Ghost of Tsushima is a mark. It's an example of what games should aim for. It's something that most companies can only dream of making, and my hat goes off to Sucker Punch for making such a great game. Anyway guys, quick note, Paper Mario, like I said before, Origami King review is coming out, so be sure to watch that. I want to thank you guys for watching. What did you think of Ghost of Tsushima? Did you like it? That's what I'm not going to say anyone would dislike this because I don't know how. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.